Dave Shaw, thanks so much for taking the time. We've pretty much rescued you from a huge scrum of local media. First event here in the Czech Republic. How's the reaction been?
Yeah, it's been huge, like massive buzz in this city. The event sold out in a matter of days. We hardly had a card at that point. Open workout last night was really well attended. It reminded us of a Brazil open workout where it's in a mall. There's people clamoring, over the rails to get a sight line to some of the fighters. It's been great. There's real buzz in this city, and it's one of those things where it kind of makes you wonder why it took so long to get here. I mean, it's not for lack of effort. We've been trying for a long time. Sometimes it's just a matter of when the arena lines up with an availability date, and also you got to have the right card. So we're here. We're making an impact, people are loving it, and we're excited.
Normally when you go to a new market, you've got a huge clutch of fighters from that country that you can put on the card. It's a little bit different here. You've got Lucy Pudilova on the main card, but that's pretty much it. You've not got a huge sort of archive of fighters you can bring in. How has that been some sort of challenge in terms of putting together a card that's going to fit the market?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily a challenge. This is a real opportunity for us. I mean, every country, develops at a different rate. We just talked about how many, there's over 90 Brazilians or something under contract with us now. We've got 20 to 25 Russian/CIS fighters. We're in it for the long haul, right? If we're here, we're putting on a live event, we are connecting with fans all across the country. This is a starting point for us to help nurture and develop mixed martial arts. We know that's a very vibrant MMA community here. So you can rest assured that next time we come to Prague or another city in Czech Republic, that there'll be a number of new fighters on board.
You're making a bit of a flying start in Europe this year with events in back-to-back months. You've got obviously this weekend, and we've got London, and there's talk about another one here in mainland Europe. The following month. It's really busy. How many events are we looking at over the course of the calendar year, would you say?
For the EMEA region, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 7. And the benefit we've got this year, unlike last year's, is with the ESPN deal, we've talked about this before, being able to hold events here locally in prime time is a way to make such a much more meaningful impact. So for us, we're going to be in the UK a couple times, continental Europe, mainland Europe a few times. We will also be in Russia. We've been very vocal about committing to Russia a couple fights a year. We're looking at the Middle East. We're looking at a few different countries we haven't been to before. So it's going to be an exciting year, and you're right. I mean, so far 2 for 2 on sellouts here in Europe, and I think that's a testament to how far along the brand has been built, and what a great MMA community there is here.
And in Europe, we've got some big name stars. Obviously, Darren Till is headlining London. Alexander Gustafsson has already made his reputation fighting on the top of cards here in Europe, and they're both fought for world championships, and they've just quite fallen short. The fact that they're now building back up, how important are they to your strategy when you're putting these cards together for the European region? Yeah,
I mean, hugely important, and you've got a long list of very successful European fighters, whether it's Volkan and Joanna's here. You got Conor. Look what Francis did this past weekend. Having key athletes in each region is very important to us for a number of reasons. And when it comes to building the card, local fans want to see local stars, but local fans also want to see the global stars. And so it's always going to be a blend of that when we go to each region.
How much of I don't want to use the word battle, but I can't think of a better one. How much of a debate is there behind the scenes when you're trying to put these cards together, and you need to get that balance, and you need to bring some of those more widely known names onto these cards when perhaps they might be better suited to being on a pay-per-view card?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I think what we try to do as, say, the business unit operators is provide the matchmakers with as much data as possible. In the end, those guys are the experts. They're the sophisticated ones when it comes to matchmaking. They're going to make the decisions, whether it's myself or Borsari or Dropik, bringing in some information to say, hey, we should, consider this guy, or this a female athlete. He or she has a huge social media following in this region. This is something to consider. We give them all the tools to help make decisions. Ultimately, those guys are the ones that make the decisions. I can't tell you whether it's a battle or not. I just know that there's always going to be a balance to make sure that we're getting viewership and we're getting tickets sold. It's part of the product. It's part of the atmosphere at events. We always want to have, a big, very energetic crowd. And so, I think it's less of a battle, more just about, a calculation on, how to sort of spread some of the key guys over what really is a pretty condensed period of events. I mean, we're going to have 42 events this year. It's nearly an event every weekend. And so, you know, we need to be able to be smart in how we're spreading fighters out.
And breaking new ground here in Prague this weekend, obviously going back to a familiar old territory in London. What are the expectations heading into that one? Because the card looks pretty stacked.
Yeah, pretty stacked. I mean, I don't know. I mean, every time we go to London, it's off the charts, and I think this March will be no different. Expectations are huge. I mean, you know, we just redid the deal with BT. We've got sort of reinvigorated approach to content creation, which includes athlete profiling, like making sure that we're focusing on key guys. Even this weekend with Chris Fishgold on the card, BT has invested a lot to make sure that we're building his profile. Nathaniel Wood's going to compete in London, and we've got a long list of European guys that our broadcast partners here, led by the team in London, are going to continue to center around, because you know it's the key guys are always going to get a lot of spotlight, but it's our job to make sure we're building fighters from fight 1 to fight 20.
And we've got a situation where Rose is set to go down to Brazil to defend her title. Europe, obviously a massive market for MMA. Yeah. It's been done before where we've had a pay-per-view on US time zone, obviously in Manchester with Michael Bisping.
Yeah. Even the Stockholm event wasn't a pay-per-view, but it was late, yeah.
So is the door still open to that sort of event, assuming the matchup is the right one?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I guess the best example for that is what to do with Conor, right? Like, he's got a number of fights left. He's still hungry. He wants to fight in many different places. He's been like really active on social media lately, and talking about what an honor it would be to fight Anderson Silva. He was talking about wanting to fight on home soil. All these types of things are taken into consideration. We are largely bound by needing to have pay-per-views at 10 p.m. Eastern in the U.S., but there's nothing to say that we can't. So at some point, perhaps we will. It's not on the roadmap right now, but what we want to do is, and what Dana wants to do principally is create the best fights and the biggest fights for our fan base all around the world. And so if we have to do something a little bit atypical, then we will.
So potentially, if you're talking about the rule of having a pay-per-view on at that set time, I guess if you're ever in a position to break that rule, it would be with someone like Conor McGregor, who can sort of transcend the time zones a little bit. And is a homecoming realistic?
I don't know if I can answer that, and not because I'm withholding any information. I just don't know. I mean, there's a lot of kind of unpredictability, I guess, when it comes to the roadmap for his next few fights. We obviously want him to fight in the U.S. He wants to fight in a number of different places around the world. I don't know if it's Brazil or Ireland or what, but I think we'll see in due time. Not a lot of information to share right now.
Appreciate the time. Thanks very much, and best of luck for the event this week.
Thank you.
Brilliant.